Tesla has been called one of the most innovative companies in the world. SpaceX speaks for itself, and so does every other project Elon Musk has ever worked on. Basically, the core belief behind all of Elon Musk's business ventures has been innovation, a desire to create something new, a desire to change the world. This is what Elon had to say about the importance of innovation in his employees.
So, first of all, when we interview people, we do ask for some evidence of exceptional ability, which in most cases includes innovation. This is not to say that everyone needs to be innovative. But we certainly need those that are doing advanced engineering to be innovative. And ideally, everyone is at least to some degree innovative.
When you're designing tech that no one in the world has ever thought of, you're obviously going to run into problems. Problem solving is an important part of any engineer's skill set. However, when you're working with Elon Musk, it gets even more important.
Coming back to you looking for a CEO, apart from CEOs, when you hire people, what kind of skills do you want them to have? Are there any? Do you look at a list and look at people? How do you decide that?
Well, when I interview somebody, I really just ask them to tell me the story of their career and what are some of the tougher problems that they dealt with, how they dealt with those, and how they made decisions at key transition points. And usually that's enough for me to get a very good gut feel about someone. And what I'm really looking for is evidence of exceptional ability. So did they face really difficult problems and overcome them? And then of course you want to make sure that if there was some significant accomplishment, were they really responsible, or was somebody else more responsible? And usually the person who's had to struggle with the problem, they really understand it, and they don't forget, if it was very difficult. So you can ask them very detailed questions about it, and they'll know the answer. Okay. Whereas the person who was not truly responsible for that accomplishment will not know the details.
Which college or which university?
No, it's not. There's no need even to have a college degree at all, or even high school. If somebody graduated from a great university, that may be an indication that they will be capable of great things, but it's not necessarily the case. If you look at, say, people like Bill Gates or Larry Ellison, Steve Jobs, these guys didn't graduate from college.
Dropouts, yeah.
But if you had a chance to hire them, of course, that would be a good idea.
Yeah, okay.
So, just looking just for evidence of exceptional ability. And if there's a track record of exceptional achievement, then it's likely that will continue into the future.
Elon loves problem solvers, but how does he himself solve problems? What is the thought process behind him coming up with solutions to some of the biggest problems that humans face? How did he come up with a plan to revolutionize the automobile industry, and how can you apply his method? Take a look at this video to learn more.
Right, first principles is kind of a physics way of looking at the world, and what that really means is you kind of boil things down to the most fundamental truths and say, okay, what are we sure is true, or as sure as possible is true, and then reason up from there. That takes a lot more mental energy.
Give me an example of that. Like, what's one thing that you've done that on that you feel has worked for you?
Sure. So somebody could say, in fact people do, that battery packs are really expensive, and that's just the way they'll always be, because that's the way they've been in the past. You're like, well, no, that's pretty dumb, because if you applied that reasoning to anything new, then you wouldn't be able to ever get to that new thing.
Right.
It's like you can't say, horses. Nobody wants a car because horses are great and we're used to them and they can eat grass and there's lots of grass all over the place, and there's no gasoline that people can buy, so people are never going to get cars.
Right.
People did say that, and for batteries, they would say, oh, it's going to cost, you know, historically it's cost $600 per kilowatt hour, and so it's not going to be much better than that in the future. And you say, no, okay, well, what are the batteries made of? So first principles would be to say, okay, what are the material constituents of the batteries? What is the spot market value of the material constituents? So you can say, okay, it's got cobalt, nickel, aluminum, carbon, and some polymers for separation, and a steel can. So break that down on a material basis and say, okay, what if we bought that in the London Metal Exchange, what would each of those things cost? Like, oh, geez, it's like $80 per kilowatt hour. So clearly, you just need to think of clever ways to take those materials and combine them into the shape of a battery cell, and you can have batteries that are much, much cheaper than anyone realizes.
Before we move on, if you like these videos, why not subscribe to the channel and ring the bell too? All done? Let's move on. Elon lists the 3 things he looks for in employees. Take a look at what they are.
But these are like long answers. So, but I think in general, if you want to recruit people that are, you know, really talented and driven, you have to state what's the mission, what's the problem we're trying to solve,
Yep.
and just be clearly willing to, you know, pour a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into it, and have a convincing argument for why it matters.
Yep.
You know, there's, you know, say like there's three major things for. You know, in terms of motivation, it's like, first of all, somebody's got to look forward to coming to work in the morning. Like, if they're, like, are they enjoying the work itself intrinsically? That's very important. And the right work environment can really make a big difference there. I think ideally is that they also feel like that their rewards will receive fair financial compensation, like that the financial rewards are good and fair. And then third, for the best people in the world, they'll want to know, is what they're doing going to matter?
Yep.
Like, so if they spend 10 years doing this, will it make a difference to the world, or, you know, will people notice? Will it matter?
When you're a person that has to come up with new ideas daily, ideas that are going to revolutionize the world, then the chances of some of those ideas not being the best at the very start is quite high. You need to be able to handle criticism from your fellows and your friends. People that can take criticism end up being more successful in the long term, since they already know the mistakes they're making and don't have to suffer just to realize what they are.
Through most of our life, we get through life by reasoning by analogy, which essentially means kind of copying what other people do with slight variations. And you have to do that, otherwise it's mentally, you wouldn't be able to get through the day. But when you want to do something new, you have to apply the physics approach. Physics has really sort of figured out how to discover new things that are counterintuitive, like quantum mechanics. It's really counterintuitive. So I think that's an important thing to do. And then also to really pay attention to negative feedback and solicit it, particularly from friends. This may sound like sort of simple advice, but it's hardly anyone does that, and it's incredibly helpful.
And now on that note, we must end the video. Hope you enjoyed all of our picks for today, and if you did, be sure to leave a like down below. With that done, I'll see you all next time.